Welcome back to Physiodynamics. Coach Dumitru here, and today I want to share with you guys and teach you the 3 different versions of Bulgarian split squats. The foot is going to be on the bench today, and we're going to try to isolate different parts of your leg, aka the quads, the hamstrings, and the glutes. I'll show you how each position needs to be shifted and moved in order to feel the pressure more on one area than the other. Before we dive into it, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're visiting us on YouTube, check out our website where this video and many others are ready to show you different lessons, different exercises, and teach you how to do them correctly. The website is physiodynamics.com. So without further ado, let's dive into the Bulgarian split squats. Now, this exercise is either hated or loved by most people. I haven't really met anybody who went, it's okay. Either people love it because it feels so good and it really targets the leg as a whole, or they absolutely hate it because of the lovely pain that it provides. So the most classic version of the Bulgarian squats. Let's start with that. Everybody's familiar with this. You can see in this video, I have my foot up on the bench. This is my own personal preference of keeping the toe in this manner. I'll show you at the end of the video different versions that you can keep your toe and it will accomplish exactly the same thing. But for me, this is the most comfortable position. It allows me just the right stretch in the quadriceps of the back leg and in the hip, and I feel the proper pressure in my front leg. Now, in this version, you can tell, number one, let's start from the bottom. My foot, my working foot, is flat on the floor. So the power, the pressure needs to be driven through the heel itself. Okay, the knee, I'm gonna go a little bit classic over here. Even though I say to everybody, the book is not something that you always go after. You have to go based on what your body says. However, you do not want the knee to go too far over your toe. If it goes a little bit over the actual toe line, that's not a problem, but do be careful on what your knee is comfortable with and if you have any past injuries, current injuries, etc. If you go too far, particularly in this exercise, because of the angle that you're at, you will more than likely be tempted to go up on your toe, and at this point now you're activating the quads fully. In this version number one, you still have hamstrings and you still have glutes involved. They all work as a team, but the predominance of the work falls on the quadriceps. So in this position, chest up, lean forward about maybe 20 degrees, 15 to 20 degrees. My body weight is fully on the front working leg. You are targeting that quadricep. Now, notice I'm going down deep. You can definitely go even deeper than this and go past the 9-degree point. Some people like to put a pair of plates, 45 plates or 3 plates or whatever, and they grab dumbbells on each side of the body and they go nice and deep to really stretch that muscle. So in those details, you can do as you wish. However, when you go deep, you should feel the stretch right in the glute area, right in the hamstring area. Of course, the quad is going to be fired up like crazy. And then you push, drive through the heel and lift yourself up. Note, never lock out a joint. Notice when I'm at the top of the movement, my knee is not locked out. It's straight, but it doesn't lock out. At the same time, I keep my back straight, my core stays tight, my chest is always forward. I don't try to slouch or lean over, and I maintain that position throughout a nice, smooth transition. Again, later on, I'm going to cover the warning signs as well, but I am going to shower you guys throughout the whole video with this because it's very important. A lot of people think they put weight on the front leg, but they end up leaning too far back. If you feel too much of a stretch in the back leg, or in the hip of the back leg, the one that's on the bench, you're leaning too far back. Start leaning forward because you're taking pressure away from the leg that should be working, and you're putting uncomfortable and unneeded pressure on the leg that it's elevated. So be very careful with that. So this version number one, it helps you with targeting all the muscles as a whole, predominant pressure on the quadricep of the working leg itself. Now, we're going into version number two. In this one, as you can see, I start off in the same position, okay? So always start off with the basics, with what you're comfortable with. But from here, if you notice, my hips are tilting. They're moving back a little bit, and that makes my upper body tilt forward more. Okay, now I'm not just leaning forward like I do, for example, for a Romanian deadlift or a stiff-legged deadlift. I actually have as if somebody's putting their hands around my hip area and pulling my hips back. That's how the body has to move in this position. So tilt those hips back. You'll know you're doing it right if in this position, before you even move from the starting point, you start feeling a stretch in the hamstrings, more towards the glute area. Okay, so the glutes should feel a little bit of a stretch. The hamstrings should feel a little bit of a stretch. If they do, you're in the right position. If they don't, that means you just lean forward and you're not in the proper starting position to accomplish what you want out of this version. Now, everything else will stay the same from this point of view of this exercise. The back foot is still on the toe. Again, that's my preference. The front foot needs to be flat on the floor. The power drives through the heel so that you push in through the entire leg, not just the quadriceps. Again, if you go on your toe for any reason, whatever, doesn't matter how you tilt your body forward, how you put your hips back and forth, you will still end up driving all the pressure into the quads. So please make sure your heel stays flat on the floor. Now, as I'm going, and something that I forgot to mention with the previous version, the classic version, the body moves up and down as a whole. Okay, and this will come into importance and will mean more in the third version. But for now, just remember the entire body from that front leg moves as a whole throughout, right? So you go nice and deep again, you get that stretch into the hamstring and the glute, and then as you drive up through the heel, now you're adding more pressure into the glute and the hamstring to push yourself up. Obviously, the quads are going to work, but now the tension is lessened. So you don't have to worry so much about this tension, but you need to maintain that tight core, that straight back, and that hip rather tilt backwards. If you lose this tilt, you're going to lose the effect, and you're going to go back to the classic version of the Bulgarian split squats. Again, the pressure needs to be on the front leg. Do not lean too far back or you will feel it in the hip. So version number 2 will get the hamstring more and the glute more. Finally, getting into version number 3, we are looking at the most awkward position to get yourself in. And people have a lot of trouble with this one because they really cannot time their body properly. And I always try to explain it. You're almost transforming yourself into a teeter-totter. Okay, so notice my hips are still tilting backwards. So from the beginning, I start in a classic position. I tilt my hips back just a tad bit more than I did in version number 2. And then check it out. My body goes down as a whole, but that's it. From this point now, my hips get driven up and my head almost tries to stay at the same level. So you're almost mimicking a teeter-totter over here. You're going up with one side while that other side stays down. And then vice versa. The initial side comes down and then the other side stays up. So that's where I get the analogy is the best analogy I can come up with. If you guys think of something better that I can use, please drop it in the comments. But other than that analogy, really, once you get the hang of this, it's going to be very easy. You're going to feel a lot of pressure in your hamstring. You're going to feel a lot of pressure in your glutes, and your quadriceps are nearly taken out of the entire equation, right? But you need to have the this movement, this hips driving up while still staying tilted, your core being very tight, your back being very straight. The power still has to drive from the heel through the entire chain up the body. In this position, it's almost impossible to lean backwards, so I'm not really going to worry about you guys messing up by putting too much pressure in the back. The only way you'll be able to do that is if you don't press with your hips straight up towards the ceiling and you press your hips backwards. So actually, I have seen that in the past, so I will warn you that about this, guys. Push the hips to be driven straight up to the ceiling. Don't go backwards, because again, you're going to fall into that same trap of putting pressure on the back leg, and the back leg doesn't need any pressure. Number one, you're working the front leg. Number two, that leg is not necessarily in a position to take your body weight right now, especially if you have more dumbbells or any kind of weight around you. to make the exercise harder. So simple thing, guys, on this one, push your hips up, extend your leg, do not lock the knee, drive the power through the heel, and let your head stay almost at the same level. Notice my back never bends, never curves, my core stays nice and tight, and I always feel that pressure in the hips and the hamstring, especially at the top when I'm in the full extended position. The stretch is absolutely next level. It really drives in deep, and then the pressure of going down, again, quads are activated minimally, and you really get a burn out of this movement. So these are the three versions that I wanted to share with you guys, because these are really the only three versions you can do, and this is how you can morph and move your body around to have the best effects possible, and to change pressure a little bit on the exercise and not make it so boring all the time. And this also drives home the idea of you really being in touch and in tune and aware of how your body moves, what you activate, what you focus on. And I won't lie to you guys, they're not easy to master. These are moves that, especially if you're a beginner in the gym environment, these will be very hard for you to feel, because your body will try pushing left, right, and center with everything it has, because it is not used to being put in this particular position. And now you're asking to do Bulgarian squats, which you probably already hate, so you're really creating a mishmash. So I would really highly advise to get somebody who is more experienced in the gym world, show them this idea, maybe they're not aware of, but once somebody who knows how to properly fire specific muscles in the body and knows how to properly activate the muscles in the body, they will be able to help you out and cue, and maybe even hold you a little bit in position to be able to get these movements right. Now, I do want to quickly present to you guys what I meant before when I said that you're putting too much pressure on the back leg. If you're leaning too far back, you can see in this video, I'm doing it purposely. I'm leaning back a little bit more. Notice that it's almost like I'm pushing my body backwards. I'm standing rather way too tall for it. My body leans actually backwards when I'm at the top, and this is excruciating and unneeded pressure on the hip. Again, especially if you add more weight to it, now you're really asking for trouble when it comes to the hip, the quadricep. You're risking pulling a muscle. You're risking too much on this one. So please make sure you stay forward and you feel nothing more than just a light stretch in the back leg, especially if you have tighter hips. Now, lastly, I wanted to share with you guys the different toe positioning and how to set your foot up if you're on a bench or on a plyo box or whatever you guys use to suspend your leg over here. Again, putting the toe in the middle of the bench like I had in the previous videos is just my personal preference. You can see in this version, I put my toe very close to the edge, so I kind of push against the bench. Just be careful on this one not to lose balance, lose pressure in that leg and have it fall off, because it's a little bit uncomfortable and annoying when the foot falls and takes you by surprise like that. Or version number two, a lot of people do it like this with the toe flat, so the foot is flat. It's a plantar landing, or I guess dorsiflexion, or however you want to look at it, on the bench itself. This I find a little bit, because my flexibility is not the best. I know that, I admit it. I am working on it, but when I do it this way, even though I'm not putting weight on the back foot, I still feel a little bit uncomfortable that that foot still has to do a little bit of support and a little bit of guidance back there. And now putting it the toe flat like this, I feel like I don't have the control necessary and the balance necessary. But again, it's not wrong. You're still achieving the same results out of the leg. If you want to do it this way, you are more than welcome to. So they all achieve the same thing, they all do the same thing, so nothing to worry from that point of view. Also, I want to cover with you guys a couple of red flags. Number one, you have hip damage or hip injuries, knee injuries. This exercise is danger for that. You have a lot of weight going on just one joint in very unique and weird position, especially if you do the ones that I've shown you over here, especially if you take on dumbbells or a barbell or something like that to add more pressure. So any kind of damage or injury that you have in a knee or hip can be taken to the next level by this exercise. So make sure you consult a physiotherapist, your doctor, whatever, whomever you stay in touch with, that's your healthcare provider. Make sure that whatever injury you have in this joint is not going to be made worse by doing these kind of exercises. Bulgarian split squats, lunges, squats in themselves, etc. Again, there could be so many different damages, but I highly advise against doing this Bulgarian split squat or any version of it if you have knee pains, if you have hip pains, even lower back pains. Be very watchful of this, because again, it's an exercise that requires a lot of core power, a lot of core stability, so you may end up pulling the lower back worse than it is. If you have a weak lower back, be very careful on this one as well, guys. You want to be focused. You always want to be focused when it comes to the core and you're positioning your back not to bend, but especially if you're a beginner, you have a weaker back, or you had a back injury, you're recovering from one, you want to be extra careful on how the back bends, on how the back stays flexed, etc., so you don't make it any worse. Now, you see in this video over here that I've also wanted to add to the whole mash here, I am leaning forward on my leg. This version is something that needs to be taken very carefully, because some people say, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm just balancing myself a little bit because my balance sucks. If your balance really sucks, have somebody be there next to you, hang on their hand, go closer, like I have that barbell rack over there, go closer to something like that, or another bench, something that, hold on to it. When you put pressure like this, you can even tell from my movement that I am pushing up and off that knee, and that throws my balance off, throws my center point of gravity, and it also throws the pressure point in my foot. While I was doing this, I was actually experimenting myself to see how many things can go wrong. And one of the things is you end up putting more pressure on your toe, because like I said in the beginning of this video, leaning too far forward will end up transferring your body weight further into the front foot, further up the foot, and now you're losing pressure driving to the heel, and now you're driving to the toe, activating that quad like crazy, and now you're asking for a knee injury. If you see anybody doing this, your friend, your client, whatever, doing this one, I would rather you go in front of them, hold their hands, ask them to hold something, as opposed to going on the knee, because maybe they don't even realize, but they are pushing off the leg and they're leaning too far forward. Pushing off the leg, on the other sense, you're kind of doing dips while you're doing Bulgarian squats, and your back rounds, and you're doing all these weird things at once, and again, you're just not achieving anything. So bottom line is, you want to stand tall with this one. You want to be able to keep your core tight, your back needs to be in control, you need to drive the pressure through the heel. The only thing you can play around with and modify is where the pressure is pointed to, aka could be more in the hamstrings and the glutes, it may be more in the quads, etc., etc. So I hope this video gave you guys a couple of options to work with when it comes to Bulgarian squats, so they don't become so monotone and boring when you have to do them in the gym. And yeah, try it out, guys. Let me know how you feel, and I'm especially curious how many are able to hit that third version of the Bulgarian squat well with very few attempts, because I know when I first tried it, when I learned about it and I first tried it, it took me forever to really narrow down that that positioning, and to narrow down the proper firing of the hamstring and the glutes to go up like that, to work predominantly, and to feel the pressure out of it. So yeah, I'd be curious to know how you guys did. If you had some tricks, maybe you can share with me down in the comments, so I know to share with other people that are trying this for the first time. And let's have fun with the exercise, guys. It's a great exercise. Like I said, it hits the quads, it hits the hams, it hits the glutes. It's another way of developing the thighs nicely, getting that definition, getting that thickness, the big muscles in there. Again, I should be very careful how I word these, because some people, when they hear big muscles, they'll be like, ah, I don't want big muscles. You're developing the leg muscles. You're making the leg stronger. How's that? But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped. I hope it gave you guys some more ideas to increase your arsenal of exercises you do during your workouts. Again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, visit our website, www.physiondynamics.com. All the educational videos are over there available at a drop of a hat, and also more amazing stuff such as the app that we are offering to some of our clients can be accessible to anyone for 15 Canadian dollars per month. You'll be able to have all the workouts you would like over there, structured workouts, not dedicated towards individual goals or structured for anybody in particular, but you will have a little something over there to look to and to have as a guidance if you're a little bit lost in the gym and have no idea how to pair exercises together. Again, physiondynamics.com. We'll be uploading way more videos over there, but definitely hit the like, hit the subscribe here on YouTube as well, because we're working hard on uploading as many as possible over here. Until the next video, guys, stay fit, stay healthy. I'm Coach Dumitru. Have a safe one.